that which the world had never seen before, the ultimate fighting tournament, Battle Arena Toshinden. It has been a year since the incredible tournament took place. Those who fight to find their true selves, those who fight to preserve the future, they have assembled to fight again. And so the next tournament begins.
And Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's they made what into a movie. Really short one here for you, not a very long video, not a very long film. Battle Arena Toshinden, a two-part original video animation, an OVA based on a video game series of the same name. Released in 1996, the film is based primarily on the events of Battle Arena Toshinden 2, but does incorporate elements from the first and third games in the series. Damon, Battle Arena Toshinden, the game series. Much in the way of memory?
No, none at all. Yeah, when I watched the film, I didn't recognise any of the characters. You know, I googled the game, but I just didn't recall it at all.
I've got a little more in that I remember the games. I remember Battle Arena Toshinden 2 on the PlayStation, but my memory is I get very confused, right? With Battle Arena Toshinden and Fighting Vipers. Do you remember the Sega Saturn game, Fighting Vipers, where you could smash off bits of armour or like tops from the ladies, that kind of thing? I always get those two confused. While I know Battle Arena Toshinden was fairly successful for a period, ultimately its draw, the fact that you would have weapons and stuff like that, was interesting. But eventually the fighting game series kind of all fell down amongst Tekken 3 and Tekken's rise to prominence and stuff like that. Put it this way, when you think of fighting games, you start going, right, and tell me fighting games off the top of your head, ranking them on probably the most popularity. Tekken. Virtua Fighter. Street Fighter, yep, there's 3 already. Soul Calibur. That's 4. Mortal Kombat 5. Yep. We've hit 5 already and no Battle Arena Toshinden. Nope. Do you see what I mean? Like, that's kind of the thing. So with that little detail, watching the movie, I'll admit I was the same as you. I don't know who the fuck these people are. And it did my head in at the start because it's a OVA, and it's
Yeah.
made on the basis that you should know what we're focusing on. All these characters are coming in, no one's saying a name.
Yeah, it's
And I'm like, oh, who is this? What are they doing?
Quite a lot of characters too, yeah.
There is. However, I think this is a good movie.
Yeah, so do I.
I was quite surprised by eventually, once it settles down, it tells a
Yeah.
very clear, concise story with a beginning, middle, and end that I think probably complements the games, because there's obviously a history and a world that already exists in. But when I compare it to, say, the Tekken movie, the animated Tekken movie, I think this is a better film.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, I think the anime has really held up, considering it's like the 90s.
I thought it was looked good as well,
really
yeah.
Good, yeah. I mean, I must admit, the first like 10, 15 minutes of the film, I was like, it's okay. But then after I got past like the bit with the brother, the president, and then it sort of went into it a bit more, I thought this is actually pretty decent, yeah.
No, I agree. And I also think like most of the voice acting is done pretty well as well. Of course, a big cast, lots of Japanese actors, but I'm just going to be focusing on the English dubbed version, which is what I watch. But I thought for the most part, the voices matched up. I particularly, my favourite, Chaos.
Chaos, yeah.
Yeah, do you know?
Yeah, really deep voice, yeah.
No, he's the high pitch. Chaos.
Sorry.
Gaia.
Yeah, Gaia. So,
Yeah.
Gaia, yeah.
Yes. But we'll go through the names quickly
Yeah.
before we get into the movie. So the star, AJ Shinjo, Ted Lewis. Kyan Amar, Hideo Severe. Gaia, Alfred D. Butler. Literally, D. Butler. Not the Butler, D. Butler. Sho Shinjo, Chris Yates. Chaos, Chris Yates. Does the voice of Sho and Chaos. A lady... So, Uranus. But it's spelled Uranus.
I don't know. I kept having that joke in my head. Every time I heard her name, I thought, yeah, Uranus.
Well, when I was reading the cast, I went, I don't remember Lady Uranus.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's weird. They didn't really do that. And then everyone calls her Uranus. I'm like, it's not Uranus. But yes, Lady Uranus, Emma Rader, Sophia, Deborah Rabi, Rungo Iron, Greg Wolf, Fo Fei, James Cathcart, Mondo, Kim Carell, Duke B. Rampant, gets like one line in the movie, Bill Timoni, Ellis, Lisa Ortiz, Tracy, Apollo Smile, and Christopher Terry Muse. So that's everyone that's in this film. So we begin with a jet taking off as an announcer declares that a bitter Cold War is about to end. The two leaders of two unknown countries are about to sign a peace treaty on a helicarrier. Okay. Don't say what the countries are or anything like that, but...
No, you can sort of guess what they are, but...
Can you? America and...
Russia.
Okay, alright, maybe.
I thought Russia, yeah.
I thought maybe China.
Yeah.
Anyway, as they go to shake hands, an explosion stops things and the ship comes under attack from a lone man who slashes his way through the guards, seemingly invincible. As flames erupt, we focus on his face before getting the title screen. It's a nonsensical start because you have no clue what's going on, and I actually presumed the interrupting of this peace treaty thing would be part of the bigger story.
Yeah.
It's not in the slightest.
No.
It's got, in fact, we will never come back to this. The focus is on the person who is attacking.
Yeah.
You know, and at this point, you ain't got a clue who he is. And be honestly, kind of like, he's one of the least standout visually characters. He just looks like any other anime white meat guy.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, the beginning is quite a weird one because, like, as you said, I mean, the whole war thing, the treaty thing, that was completely gone now. So it was like, I thought maybe he was there to try and maybe continue the war.
Yeah, I thought, presume that was what it was going to be. Is like it's going to be part of a bigger conflict, and whoever set this man on, like on this set him out to do what he wanted to do, wanted the peace treaty to be
stopped.
Basically, that's what I thought. You know, but no, it's irrelevant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shoot him, come on!
Target lock. In view.
I don't believe it! It's a man!
So then we jump sometimes later and elsewhere at our market now. And this is what we were talking about, where you can't quite keep up at first.
Yeah.
As we see an old man is entertaining some kids. The man who attacked the helicarrier now arrives, getting the attention of the old man who seems to know him. They go to an alley where the old man now proceeds to attack. And I'm like, what's going on? Very confused.
Yeah.
But he does at least give us a name because he calls the tall man Sho. I'm like, okay, there's a name. We've got one. But I'm like, who the fuck's the old man?
Yeah.
Thankfully, they will fill in the blanks later for
They
that.
will do, yeah, but as I said, like the first 10-15 minutes, I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yep, yeah.
I was lost.
Yeah, because the fight is actually really short as well, and we cut away as Show starts to use some sort of power that's on another level. There's a lot of that, people jumping in the air and using magical powers, but like nobody ever says magic. They just say technique.
Yeah, it's like typical anime, really.
Yeah, like big air, Dragon Ball Z,
that
that kind of thing, you know? But they always refer to it as technique. Yeah. Now we are with a young man who has arrived at a ruined temple. This is E.G. E.G.
Yeah.
I read it as E.G.
Yeah.
And he remembers what happened a year ago. He has a flashback where he took part in the Toshinden tournament and fought the tournament sponsor, Gaia. Yeah. I don't normally do this, but I pulled a line of dialogue out that just made me laugh so hard because I was like, dude, why would you say that? I know it's translations, but like, reword it. We're never going to know. No. So Gaia is impressed by AG's fighting skills and says this: "My body trembles before you." And I was just like, don't be weird about it. Especially this guy is big, hulking, bear-like man, and Edge is a little small guy.
I mean, I would have liked to maybe watch this in like Japanese and then have subtitles. It might sound a bit better.
Maybe. But again, it might just be a translation issue more than anything else.
Magnificent. My body trembles before you, Eiji Shinjo.
There's more where that came from, Gaia.
As the fight continues, Gaia tries to recruit Eiji, and upon seeing Eiji's technique, mentions that his skills are comparable to those of his long-lost brother, Sho. So thanks for that, Gaia. Brilliant. Add a connection. That's how you do it. You just sort of throw them in like this. Sho demands to know... Eiji demands to know where Sho is, but Gaia says he doesn't know. But before we can go any further, the fight is then interrupted by Chaos and his goons. Chaos is probably the most standout character. Maybe Ellis later on, but we'll get to Ellis. Yeah. But Chaos, when I think to Tekken, I'm like, who the fuck do I remember in that OVA? Who do you remember from that? Beyond who was in the game character that you have a little familiarity with?
Nothing really.
This was my second time watching Battle Arena Toshinden. I remembered Chaos. I was like, oh yeah, that screaming guy.
It's my first time I've seen it, but yeah, so he certainly stands out as, the anime of him looks really, really good.
Yeah. I like as well, as the film goes on and he gets kind of more and more insane.
Yeah.
He works for a company called The Organization. How mysterious. And reveals that he knows Gaia, who also apparently works for the Organization. The film does not do a good job of explaining Gaia's role in this. No. At the end of the movie, he's called a traitor, and only then can he be like, oh, so he worked for them? What?
I always thought that he was like the leader, and then he sort of like didn't agree with what they were doing, and obviously Uranus took over.
Yeah, Uranus, yes. Yeah, that's very possible. But he's been using the Toshinden tournament, to recruit fighters to apparently then take the organization down.
Mortal Kombat Shang Tsung.
Gaia and Chaos fight. Gaia loses his armor, but kills Chaos very easily. Yeah. And at this point, we should say we've had a couple of scenes where they do show blood. Yeah. And this one, this is not super gory. There's enough splashes of blood and wounds that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. EJ tries to attack, but Gaia leaves, telling EJ to train himself, and they'll meet again in the future. And apparently the tournament then ended with no winner.
Yeah, a bit of a weird end of the tournament.
Yeah.
Gaia!
Eiji, train yourself well. Only then can our true battle begin.
The tournament ended, settling nothing between me and Gaia, and I still haven't been able to find my brother.
A year later, and EJ is reflecting on the lack of a resolution with Gaia and his brother. He then notices a man who's leaning on a rock nearby. He calls him Kain, and they appear to be enemies as they pull swords out and start fighting. All right, fair enough. But it ends when they kind of clash swords together one last time and then reveal they're actually friends and shake hands.
Yeah.
That classic thing, we try and kill each other before we're friends.
Yeah. I always just got a Rio and Ken vibe between them both.
Yeah, I agree with that to a degree, but I'd argue that this film would then go on to imply they're much better friends than why would they be trying to fight each other with swords? So you are trying to kill each other, or you're not?
Yeah, I'll save it for the ending, because
Right,
the ending sort of explains a bit more too. You know,
it's all, although it's not an important
yeah.
part of the film, the tournament is like the overshadowing arc
Yeah.
of this film. Elsewhere, it's night and another fight is happening. With this time, we see some chump getting insta defeated by Sho. Didn't even know who the fuck this guy was. Didn't have a clue. He just gets beaten by Sho and that's it. We then go back with AJ and Kyan, who are laying flowers on the latter's father's grave. Kyan references the 2 fights we've seen Sho in already. Old Man Foe and Mondo. And I was like, oh, cool.
Yep.
Thank you for giving me the names.
Yep, exactly,
And I like it because that made it feel like they're connected. And I was like, okay, this is where the story starts to connect and start telling it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They believe that the top Toshinden fighters are on a hit list and that Sho might be to blame. EG wants to go it alone. Kyan is angry about this, especially as Sho is the one responsible for his father's death.
Yeah, that's a bit.
Okay.
That's a bit of a weird one. So,
we'll never mention that again. Move on.
Yeah. Best friends too, obviously. So it must have been a bit of a strain too.
Yeah, you almost feel like there's a good story around that, but there you go. At the organisation's HQ, a very big gold building, a man wakes up and demands to know where his wife and son are. Chaos, apparently still alive, although at this point you don't know why, but you will actually get an explanation for it.
Yep.
Arrives, he comes in and attacks the man who turns out to be Rungo Iron and fights with a club. Found that out afterwards, so I added it in. We see they're being watched as part of a test, and I was like, no, not Tekken-related tests again. We've done this. The organisation's leader, Lady Uranus, not Uranus, I've even done it wrong, Uranus, comes in and is impressed by the rebuilding of Chaos, even more so when she's told that he's only operating at 30% power. So there you go, more machine than man now. We also now see that Sho is working for her, before cutting back to Rungo, who has lost his fight and left in a pool of blood.
So, how is our test subject?
See for yourself, Lady Uranus.
Back to EG and Kyan, and they're trying to find the rest of the fighters, but are too late as they find Rungo at home with his family, badly hurt, and what I thought was blinded, but according to the end of this film, not at all.
No.
They suspect that the organisation might be after Sophia, and AG goes off to find her. He ends up finding her at a remote orphanage, but not before playing some football with some kids. On the way, Sophia then arrives and invites him in for tea. Worst voice actor in this film.
Yeah.
Sophia.
Yeah.
That what they've gone for is this idea that she's supposed to sound far away.
Yeah.
And I'm distant because I don't have my memories.
Yeah.
And it just comes across wooden.
Yeah, too soft. It's too soft spoken for her.
Indeed. He tells her about the organisation and she is startled. And what I thought was initially a flashback, because she goes, and then we kind of do this picture flashback to like the Sho attacking the helicarrier. But that's actually Lady Uranus introducing Sho to a group of investors via those pictures.
Yep.
They are impressed, and she gets reported that EG has contacted Sophia. And apparently she's pleased, so she's got eyes on everybody, and she's clearly got a plan. So she's like the all-powerful Nippon Hayachi from Tekken again. Yeah. EG is in a dojo attempting to meditate, and in his head he meets Sho and demands to know why he joined the organisation. Sho attacks and kills EJ, but he wakes up in bed. It's just a dream, a nightmare. No problem. Outside, he goes outside after that, topless because he's all sexy and shit, and trained with a sword as Sophia comes in and asks to talk for a bit. They have a little sit down and start to chat, but during that we see Lady Uranus is in a large room declaring that Sophia will do what she commands. And this is where EG then tells Sophia about Sho and what he knows. You know what I really like? Often this whole fill the person in the blanks thing is done in a way where we come back and they're like, and they're finishing it, the conversation. We haven't had to sit there and listen to it.
Yep.
Like, it'll be like, EG's like, oh, so that's why this is this, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, you saved us so much time. Thank you.
Yeah, that literally put up pointless talking,
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Yep. And I've been dreaming about the chance to cross swords with my brother again. Now my dream is coming true. If only it wasn't. But it is.
Sophia then reveals that she was an experiment of the organisation and that she lost all of her memories. They talk for a little bit longer before Sophia goes to bed. boobs! Shower scene. Yeah, this film has a little bit of nudity as we see Sophia in the shower. But you then notice she's kind of acting a bit weird. She looks a little bit weird as she gets out of the shower. She goes to E.G.'s bedroom, arriving fully nude. What they do here to hide the nudity is use shadows to cover it.
Yeah.
And she gets into bed and attempts to seduce E.G. And I thought, oh, go, we're going to have an anime sex scene.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go there as he's basically prepared and she pulls a knife out on him and attempts to stab him. Hilariously, he dives through the window, landing outside, fully clothed.
Yep.
So somehow he got out of bed because he's topless and landed in his clothes on the way out the window.
I guess better.
Yep, to be followed by Sophia immediately arriving, also fully clothed, but not just fully clothed, in a brand new outfit we've not seen her in. That's going to have given her a bit of a dominatrix-like look.
Yeah, it's like a weird sort of like bikini, like this like bottom.
Yeah, it's a dominatrix style kind of thing. But yeah, it did make me laugh that the Bob just arrived fully clothed.
And her weapons are whip too.
Yes, her weapons are whip as well. Yes, of course it is.
Sophia!
They fight. It turns out that Lady Uranus has taken control of Sophia's mind, and at least that explains what Sophia's experiment was.
Yep.
That's what it was, so that's cool. E.G. doesn't want to fight at first, but eventually does fight back and just breaks Uranus's hold on her. Don't know how he does that. I think he hugs her and that's about it.
Yeah, hugs her and then
She cries.
and she cries and they hug.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I praise. I don't know, yeah.
We see Lady Uranus is impressed. You also get some nudity here. She's sitting in her chair in the nude. But that's it. All the nudity done. Move to the side.
Yep.
Although we will get to one later on that's dressed incredibly inappropriately for her job.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We will get to her.
Yeah.
Sho arrives now and E.G. demands an explanation. Sho's a dick, refuses to tell him anything, and they fight. Sho kicks his ass, but when E.G. realises that Sho is basically a machine now, and Sophia gets hurt when she tries to help, he finds the strength to defeat Sho. So you're kind of, okay, Sho a machine too? Is that the real one? That kind of thing.
Yeah. That story still doesn't get explained even at the end.
No, but they do, I think, a good job to try and offer some of it.
Yeah.
I will give it some praise. Anyway, Robot Sho is furious that he was defeated as he's supposed to be the perfect being. He cries out for Lady Uranus, but before gets shot with an arrow and then blows up. Lady Uranus appears like a fucking angel, wings and all flying in the air. Introduces herself to E.G. and then reveals that it was a plan to gain test data to create the perfect being. She then leaves without telling E.G. anything else, really. She just goes. I notice at this point in the film, E.G. spends more of his time going, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah,
what is this?
He's very confused because
Yes.
he knows about the organisation and he seems to know quite a bit anyway.
Yeah,
but
I thought that was intriguing. If he knows about the organisation, why does he not know who Lady Uranus is? Now, the whole test data thing, we'll talk about it now. I think it's a really cool idea.
Yeah,
so basically, these machines, part man, part machines, fight fighters and gain test data from them, learn their skills and abilities so that they can't be defeated later on. I thought it was a really cool idea.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. He then E.G. checks on Hurt Sophia before declaring his confusion yet again. We then see Lady Uranus waking up Chaos, having inputted even more data into him and to send him after the traitor Gaia. So suddenly Gaia is an important aspect of this film again because he's been completely forgotten about for the last 10.
Yeah, I don't know why he's so important, but I suppose it's because of Trey, I suppose. But
Yeah, I presume in the game he's probably maybe like Shang Tsung in the level of Mortal Kombat, or like maybe the Shao Kahn, I'm not sure, like of the big bad like bosses. Meanwhile, Kyan has arrived at a circus to find someone named Ellis. It's a young woman who is a knife thrower and part of the circus, the most anime character of all.
Yeah.
She even stops and does like poses in front of the camera.
I know, yeah, probably.
Like that, and then maybe laugh. Before she can try her skills out on her mentor, Kyan arrives and Ellis is happy to see him. So happy that she actually accidentally stabs her mentor with a thrown knife for a bit of a wah comedy moment.
Yep.
We then cut to E.G. randomly brooding, and part one ends with him drawing a sword.
Yep.
I was like, okay, that's how it ends. So it's like, okay, right. And then we go to part two, beginning in similar fashion to part one, seeing some sort of attack, Chaos minions chasing down Gaia. He slaughters them, but we see that Chaos has apparently set a trap. So that's how we start.
Yep.
Right back into it. It is very frantic and fast. You don't really spend too much time hanging around.
Well, I mean, they fit in a lot for
They do.
like 54 minutes long. It's a massive story. You know, all fitted, and they managed to do it. So.
With a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Agreed. We're then back with E.G. on his motorcycle as we get the title screen. He arrives at Ellis's circus as the show is in full swing. The show ends, Ellis goes backstage and meets up with E.G. And it's nice that she clearly had a relationship with both of them before and she's happy to see them, that kind of thing, you know? E.G. and Kyan fill her in about the organisation's plan, including teasing her for some reason, which she then pours knives at them. Yeah. I think it's supposed to show that the girl can be tough as well.
Yeah, of course.
Which is cool.
I do think she's a bit of a pointless character.
They're all pointless when it comes down to it.
I mean, she doesn't really.
No, I'm going to disagree with you. She's arguably is most important because the events surrounding her set in motion the end of the film.
I know, obviously, I can't say because
we can't because we're going to get there anyway. Yeah. Fun and games are over. E.G. reveals that the machine he fought looked like Show. They tell her that they're going to take the organisation down and then just leave. You're like, oh, okay. Yep. Why'd you fill her up? Like, you just leave. To be fair, again, the film will explain itself here. Outside, we then see that Chaos minions are watching from afar. Back with Ella, she's practicing her skills on some poor clowns who kind of troop off all sad and despondent. But she's interrupted by the arrival of Chaos, who is a little bit crazier now with all that data input, a little bit wilder, and he attacks her.
Good night, you two. Who's there?
It's showtime.
Chaos says that she is the bait to lure Gaia in because he is her father. Father! She refuses to be bait though and continues to attack Chaos, who ends up knocking her down. He's way more powerful than her. Yeah. In a really cool, dark moment, he says he's not going to kill her because she's bait, but he does plan to make it so she can't run away and goes to break her leg. Yeah, and I was like, oh, badass. That's really, really cool. He's stopped by the clowns from earlier, though. Huh. Oh, interesting. Yep. As it's revealed that that's AJ and Kyan who have disguised themselves. They set their own trap. Clever. I liked it.
Yeah, very clever. Yeah.
I liked it. Didn't see it coming.
Nope.
Chaos is still very confident, though. He's not fazed by this lot at all. And they do fight. Chaos reveals that he's operating at full capacity now, makes short work in a pair before going back to Alice. So it's not even that a fair fight anymore.
No, it's destroyed them, yeah.
But you know who's coming because it was the trap. Guy arrives and him and Chaos resume their rivalry. Guy is unfazed by Chaos and it looks like the Man Machine is about to lose. So he uses some sort of gas. He uses it to blind Guile and aims poison-tipped darts at him. But Ellis, trying to save her dad, Daddy no, jumps in the way and gets poisoned.
It's him, Gaia. Welcome to my trap.
Chaos informs them that only the organisation has the antidote and flees back to the base, knowing that Gaia will likely seek him and Uranus out for revenge. Big problem with this. Do you have a problem with it?
Yeah, it's just so predictable. It's like your typical scene, really. You know, girl gets injured. The point the cure's here. Come here.
Yeah. I've got no problem with that aspect of it because we do got to get there.
Yeah.
My problem is how could this have been Chaos's plan? He was aiming the dart at Gaia. How he could never have predicted or known that Ellis would have jumped in the way. Yep. I could understand if he turned around and shot Ellis and that was the plan, but Ellis jumped in the way. If he poisoned Gaia probably wouldn't have gone to the organisation. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, of course.
He wants Gaia to go to the organisation. If he'd poisoned Gaia would have been in hospital. Gaia could never have got there. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make much sense.
No,
I realise it's being panicky because it's simply a 54-minute OVA.
Yeah, of course.
But it did stand out for me as a bit of an error. Because Ellis is hospitalised and E.G. is confronted by a policewoman. So this is Tracy from the game who wants to know what's going on. She speaks really... It's like the voice actor was told, listen, you've got these lines, but we've only got like 10 seconds spare. Yeah. Say them as fast as possible.
Really, really fast. Yeah.
And she does. But also, stripper cop outfit. Like, really? Like, I'd give the film credit most of the time, aside from, like, Sophia. No, to be fair, all the women are wearing skimpy outfits. But this one seems particularly egregious because she's supposed to be she's got a top on police thing with a badge there, but like it's busting at the seams because her boobs are so big and stuff like that.
Your typical anime, they always do with anime girls.
Particularly of this era. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I want some answers. Are you gonna tell me what's going on? We've got reports of groups of strange people lurking in the woods near that circus. We've got a girl who's suffering from a poison that nobody's ever seen before. And even if I believe that bit about fighting a stray dog off, I'm betting it wasn't your run-of-the-mill street fight.
We then see Lady Uranus uploads the... I did it. Uranus, did it. Uranus uploads the data on Gaia into the more and more insane chaos. We see the more data that gets uploaded into him, the crazier he's becoming. Before we then see a news show about a recent attack by man-machines on a military base, and Tracy's then told everything by E.G. The military base... I guess it's trying to imply that these man-machines will continue to take over if they're not dealt with, right? Yeah. Tracy declares that they should all attack the hideout of the organisation, but they don't know where it is. Thankfully, Sophia then arrives and reveals that she knows where it is because of her connection with Lady Uranus. I don't mind that.
I don't.
It's
mind
believable.
It's believable, but I mean, when they're driving towards this secret hideout,
it's not that secret, is it?
It's like seriously, it's the one with the big towers. You know, it's like how fucking obvious.
Yeah, there's several big towers. What annoyed me though was early in and out. Now maybe it wasn't gold. Maybe because it was at night, it was all the lights lighting it up that was implying it was like that. But I feel like this would be pretty well known. Plus the organisation, surely it's a company. The front of it is a company. Yeah. So like, generally would have a HQ, right? Yeah, you're right. It is a bit stupid, particularly as they drive towards it. It's an all-out assault on the base. Lady Uranus is actually surprised by the attack and sets Chaos Minions on them. Our group during this fight is aided by the arrivings of Rungo, Foe, Mondo, and Duke, the other fighters from the tournament, the B+ players, basically. Yeah. But the distraction allows Gaia access to Lady Uranus. Together, they argue about the future of the organisation and what she is doing to Chaos. She then sets the near brain-dead Chaos on him. At this point, he's fucking gone. Yeah. He's off, mate. He's in another planet. E.G. and Kyan split up to find Lady Uranus as the fight outside continues. E.G. finds and destroys the facility where the copies of the show are being created.
Use that Lady Uranus again.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I give up, man. Her. Uranus. Yeah. So we're flying through this end battle. Meanwhile, Gaia is having a lot of trouble with Chaos, but Kyan arrives to help him. Everyone then reconvenes on the roof to take on Chaos, and E.G. comes up with a really cool idea, actually. Didn't mind this. Yep. He comes up with the idea of if they do each other's moves and combine them, they'll be able to take down Chaos, as he has no data on that. He has data on their fighting skills. But what if, for example, AJ does a move that Kyan does, and Kyan does a move that EG does, and they combine the two, he will have no data on it. Very smart, yeah. It's a good idea. Yeah. Gaia says they'll have to make it quick, because ultimately he'll quickly start to learn, and they basically do destroy Chaos once and for all.
Shoulder crush! Hey, that's my move. Gaia, attack him using someone else's technique.
It's a temporary solution. Once he absorbs the data, we'll be helpless once again.
Well then, we'll just have to beat him with one big attack. He shall not bluff! You're a fool to assume we'll do our moves the same way every single time. You will not beat me!
They then confront Uranus in the throne room, where Uranus tells them that the facility was just a decoy, basically, and the true one is beneath the base. This was just a front with the actual facility below them. However, don't worry, we're not going down there and having more fights or anything like that, because Show now appears, the real Show, and he has defied Uranus, informing her that he's destroyed the real facility, which is now causing the base to start to collapse. And I was like, oh, cheers for that, Show. Just get it done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
it's the end of Tekken again. The destroying of the islands.
It is, yeah. But still, I mean, I never did understand it. Is he? Was he with them? Was he captured?
I think it's implied that he worked for the organisation too.
Yeah.
I think it's implied. After swearing revenge, Uranus flees. E.g., Kyan and Gaia make it out of base before it explodes, but we see that Show is nowhere to be found. Did he die? Do you care?
Nope.
He's a nothing character.
Yeah.
The film ends here, the participants parting ways on good terms, but all agreeing they'll have to fight in the next Toshinden tournament, because apparently that's important again. EG and Kyan deliver the antidote to Ellis, and she makes a full recovery, and they tell her that Gaia disappeared afterwards. EG and Kyan then part ways outside, and we see that Gaia is watching from above. Don't understand why. He's doing some sort of distant relationship with his daughter thing. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Don't get it at all. I can understand like Sho, but why Gaia? Elsewhere, though, we see Sho has survived, and he talks to himself, complimenting his brother's improved skills and suggests they will have to fight in the future. And the film fully ends with EG walking home, confronted by a mysterious gun-wielding warrior, and the film ends as they prepare to fight. That character is Vermilion.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it ends. That's it. That's the OVA. There's really not a lot to it. It moves along at a nice, peppy pace, with the slow moments used to develop some small relationships and some story aspects. For the most part, though, aside from the opening 5 to 10 minutes, I think it flows really nicely. It's peppy, it's interesting, and it has a beginning, middle, and end that all makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, take away the first 10 minutes or so. You know, overall, it's a good film. You know, I think they cover a lot of bases. You know, I like the characters.
Yep.
I had my own assumptions on certain things. I thought like guys distant from his daughter, maybe to keep her protected.
Yep.
Because obviously of who he is. Obviously, I like the aspect of the all these heroes, well, heroes/enemies joining together to defeat the real enemy.
Yep.
And then go back to win the tournament because for whatever reason, it could be
Yeah,
money,
I'll buy
it
that,
could be
yeah.
pride, I don't know, whatever the prize is for whatever reason, I know.
You would never explain what you get for winning the Toshinden tournament.
I can only think, it has to be something big for
Ego, pride. I mean,
it could be anything. But,
yeah, we don't know.
But I mean, obviously, it must be something big enough for them to be enemies to fight against each other.
Yeah.
So, and two best friends.
A lot of the time, these things tend to just work in the idea that if you win a tournament, you're the best, and if that's all that ever really matters. But the Toshinden tournament is, I think, it's a good thing to a degree, similar to Tekken, where it's a part of the film, but not an important part of the film. Admittedly, here it's probably less important than, say, the Tekken OVA than it is. It's kind of just the overarching umbrella. But ultimately, the issues in this are always stuff that's silly. How does an organisation like the organisation be able to do what it does? How does it exist? How is it capable of this? Why have we got these military attack scenes, yet at no point is the military involved in any other aspect of it? It feels like at times maybe they planned to tell a bigger story that would have been a lot longer, more feature-length film, 90 minutes or so on, and for whatever reason just ended up not doing it.
I mean, it's this company, I always... I label them like we're sort of like Umbrella. They were known, so like they were literally, you had the buildings right out there, so people knew who they were.
Yep.
But they didn't know what they're doing behind the scenes. That sort of thing, like.
Of course, yeah. It's the stuff behind the scenes and stuff like that. But one look at Lady Uranus, you'd be like, no, you're a villain. You're a villain. You're a villain.
Yeah.
You praised the animation. I second what you said there as well. For a 1996 OVA, I think it holds up really nicely. The character artwork's good. It's manga. It's that designed. It looks the part. There's some nice bit of blood. Obviously, body shapes and how they're drawn is completely embarrassingly not in proportion to it. You know, Sophia is a really skinny chick with these massive pair of perfect boobs. Like that aspect of stuff like that. It's very, very silly on that front. But it's manga. You kind of know what you're getting with that. But overall, I think it looked pretty good. I think the biggest problem is that again, it does what Tekken and stuff like that do, where it tries to throw in too many characters. Why have we got people like Mondo and Omanfo and all that aspect? Imagine it just focused on the people we knew, like E.G. Khan, and admittedly, they're all background characters, not important. For the most part, it does stick with the main cast, and I think that helps it. Probably better than Tekken. Tekken was all over the place with its characters. Here we do admittedly focus on E.G. Kyan, Ellis, Sophia, Gaia, Chaos.
Yeah.
Uranus. That's about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 like main sort of
main ones,
and then obviously you have little side ones. But I mean,
people like Sho and that who are the kind of background characters.
I mean, going back to like the animation, you know, I put in a class obviously this film Tekken, and then say something like Vampire Hunter D.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is on the set. This is the. Yeah. I I think Vampire Hunter D is a much better looking film.
Yeah.
But I think it's on par with that.
But then the animation for Tekken for me was a lot worse than these two.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I agree. I actually agree with that. Weirdly, Tekken would come later as well.
Yeah.
So it's just a difference. I mean, it's a video game movie adaptation like we always do in this series, but one where we can't really do much comparison to the game because neither of us has that familiarity. Not only that, it's a fighting game. What can you do? I think potentially it may do a good representation of the style that Toshinden has.
Yeah.
But I don't remember Toshinden having these big power moves that he did where it explode in the sky and stuff like that. Maybe I'm misremembering it.
I would have to go on Google and maybe watch like a couple of videos of the game just to get reference.
Regardless, ultimately we are here to review the movie, and we both come away satisfied with this. It's not a great film, but it's so far from a terrible film.
Yeah.
It's a good one, and that's never a bad thing. You got any thoughts on Battle Arena Toshinden, the OVA? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?